Another big swell last night. The reef got a pounding. That's always good for bringing in some seaweed. I managed to collect some of my favourite green seaweeds. I've always loved the sea. I love being near it, watching it, in it, on it, under it. I haven't been able to go diving lately, but I swim most mornings at my local beach. It's a beautiful beach with areas of rocky reef. So swimming over that, I get to see the rocks and fish and seaweed. On a sunny day with clear water, it's stunning. But I love swimming in all conditions. It keeps me in touch with the sea and weather and the changing seasons. I had another 3 weeks interstate in February-March this year. The restrictions started soon after I got home. Things were changing very quickly at that stage and I found it quite unsettling. I decided to try and switch off from all the pandemic stuff and get on with things. With no pressure or deadlines or expectations, I've set myself the project of making a fully three-dimensional floating dress from seaweed paper, life-sized. I'd had this idea for a while, but more of I wonder if I could do that. It takes me a while to sort through it all and wash it. It's important to get out all the sand and all the other extraneous stuff like bits of sponge or shell, which would spoil the paper. I usually like to cook up the different seaweeds individually, so I have a homogeneous pulp. I often mix them when I'm making the paper, but I like to know what I'm putting in. If I only have small quantities of some types of seaweed, I might cook them together, as long as they have similar cooking times. The process of filming myself is quite interesting. I don't think it's changed the type of art I'm making or how I'm going about making art, but it makes me think about what I'm doing more from an observer perspective. Whenever I start to film, it seems someone nearby starts up a lawnmower or power tool. In 2012, I spent a month as a resident artist at the King Island Cultural Centre, and that's where I decided to try making paper from seaweed. Researching and experimenting with various seaweeds. It was very much trial and error and making it up as I went along. Since then I've developed my seaweed techniques further and worked on various other topics. I started this project towards the end of March. A fairly major project and a bit daunting, and I'm not fully confident I'll succeed. I would construct it as you will in dressmaking, making the individual pattern pieces and sewing them together, and then coated them with a fabric stiffener. I ended up making 3 of these prototype dresses using different pulps and different techniques. I'm actually pretty happy with the way they've turned out. They're not perfect, but they're not bad. There isn't much opportunity for exhibiting my work in the foreseeable future, except online. Galleries are all shut, competitions cancelled, exhibitions cancelled or postponed. I was in lockdown and I was working on my big dress project and I had these penguin dresses that I'd made, so they were already made, and I was going to have a Zoom opening and it was all a bit technically complicated for me. So then I thought, well, I'll just hang it in a virtual gallery. But I thought I'd be able to find a virtual gallery online, and that was a bit complicated too, and the ones I found weren't that good. So then I hit on the idea of making a video. I thought, well, if I can film for you, I could film for me, now that I've learned how to do it. So I just put it out on social media and sent it out to people I knew and stuff, and it was well received, and it was virtually sold out in a week, which was a nice surprise. I virtually never cut my paper. I don't like the hard edges, and I never make multiple copies, so each piece is unique. Don't do a lot of social media. I do it out of feeling of duty because I'm an artist, so I should have a presence. My new website went live yesterday, and I had the best night's sleep last night that I've had for ages. It was good to finally get that done. After several years of procrastinating, several weeks of hard work, it's still not perfect, needs a bit of tweaking, but that can wait for now. We had further easings of restrictions this week in Tasmania, but it doesn't really affect me as I don't really want to be any less restricted at present. I need to go out at some stage as my phone has died. And at some stage I'll go back to the hairdresser. I haven't been since January. I'm still working out exactly how I'm going to construct my big dress, but I've made all the pieces now. I just need to finish drying them, then I can get started on putting them together. But I've learnt quite a bit about what works and what doesn't. For example, when I tried gathering the skirt section for my small prototype, it seemed to go okay. But that was quite thin paper and I'd attached it to some soft, fine interfacing. When I gathered my big one, it split quite a lot. I think that's because the paper was thicker and I'd put some brown pulp around the top edge. I did that for a bit of interesting detail and to help hide any wire that was underneath. But the brown pulp I used was much more brittle. I was thinking if I did actually make another big dress, I'd make a brown one, but I'd have to choose my pulp very carefully or change the design. I've worked out that you can't really look at the end point of your work too much because it just inhibits your work. If you worry about what you're going to do with it or where you're going to put it or who might want to buy it or how much it's going to cost or anything like that, then it just stops you and you don't create what you really want to do. So I've just gone with it this time, and if I made another one, I would do it differently and better, hopefully. So I'm sort of happy that I've done it, but I'm not 100% happy with it because it's not quite how I want it. I think I probably need to make another one. I wasn't going to, but I think I do, because now that I've learned how to do it and worked out my technique, I think the next one will be more successful and more how I want it. So I probably need to make another 2, I think. It would be nice. I think 3 would look nice together. 2 just seems the wrong number, but 3 would be good.